The setting sun painted the New Mexico desert in shades of amber and purple as Raven Martinez made her final adjustments to the vehicle that had consumed the last 3 years of her life. The workshop, a converted military bunker buried deep in the desert, hummed with the gentle purr of quantum engines and experimental tech. Her creation wasn't just any car. It was a fusion of terrestrial engineering and recovered alien technology that defied conventional physics. Raven wiped the sweat from her dark skin and stepped back to admire her work. The vehicle's sleek lines seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it, its obsidian surface rippling with subtle patterns that suggested something alive rather than manufactured. She had salvaged most of the components from a crash site the government pretended didn't exist, working in secret to combine human ingenuity with alien advancement. The first sign that something was different came on a Tuesday. Raven had returned from a supply run to find her security systems disabled, but nothing was missing. Instead, the car gleamed with an impossible perfection, every surface polished to a mirror finish. She checked the cameras. They showed nothing but static during the hours she'd been gone. It happened again the next day, and the next. Each time she returned, the car was immaculate, as if it had been detailed by a master craftsman. On the 7th day, she finally caught a glimpse of her mysterious visitor. The being stood nearly 7 feet tall, its form suggesting a vague humanoid shape but composed of shifting geometric patterns that seemed to fold in on themselves. Its surface reminded her of liquid mercury, but with an iridescent quality that made it difficult to focus on directly. Most striking were its hands, or what passed for hands, dozens of delicate appendages that moved with surgical precision across the vehicle's surface. Raven's first instinct was to reach for the pulse rifle hidden beneath her workbench, but something stopped her. The alien, she couldn't think of it as anything else, showed no signs of aggression. If anything, its movements suggested reverence, as if the car was a sacred artifact that demanded perfect maintenance. "You know what this is, don't you?" Raven found herself speaking before she could stop herself. The alien paused its cleaning ritual, turning what she assumed was its head toward her. No eyes were visible, but she felt its attention like a physical weight. The alien's response came not in words, but in a series of complicated geometric patterns that rippled across its surface, accompanied by a harmonic tone that made her teeth ache. The car's engine suddenly roared to life, its quantum core pulsing with an energy signature she had never seen before. "Well, that's new," Raven muttered, approaching cautiously. The alien stepped aside, its movements fluid and precise. As she drew closer to the car, she noticed new patterns emerging on its surface, symbols that matched the ones she'd found etched into the salvaged components. The alien extended one of its many appendages, touching the vehicle's hood. The symbols began to glow with a soft blue light, and Raven felt a vibration through the floor that seemed to resonate with something deep beneath the earth. "You're trying to tell me something, aren't you?" Raven's voice was barely a whisper. "This isn't just about cleaning the car. You're here because of what it really is." The alien's form shifted, creating what appeared to be a 3-dimensional projection in the air between them. Raven saw strange landscapes, massive structures that defied gravity, and machines that made her quantum-powered car look like a child's toy. But throughout the images, one symbol kept recurring, the same one now glowing on her car's hood. A warning klaxon suddenly blared through the bunker. Raven sprinted to her security console, her heart racing. The perimeter sensors were showing multiple vehicles approaching, black SUVs with government plates. "They'd found us," she breathed, turning back to the alien. "They've been tracking the energy signatures, haven't they?" The alien's form condensed, becoming more compact and aerodynamic. It moved toward the car with purpose, its appendages working with incredible speed to make final adjustments she couldn't begin to understand. Raven heard the rumble of engines above. She had minutes, maybe less. 3 years of work, of pushing the boundaries of human technology, had led to this moment. She could surrender, hand over her creation, and the alien to the authorities. It would be the safe choice, the rational choice. Instead, she grabbed her emergency pack and tools, sliding into the driver's seat. The alien moved with impossible grace, its form somehow merging with the vehicle's exterior like liquid metal flowing into predetermined channels. "I hope you know what you're doing," Raven said, pressing her palm against the startup scanner she'd installed. The quantum core hummed to life, but this time it felt different, more powerful, more alive. The symbols across the car's surface pulsed in rhythm with her heartbeat. Above, she heard car doors slamming, voices shouting commands. Her fingers flew across the console, initiating the bunker's evacuation protocol. The massive blast doors began to open, revealing the desert night beyond. Raven took a deep breath, her hands wrapping around the steering wheel. "Last chance to back out," she said to the alien, though she already knew its answer. The beam's response came in the form of new symbols appearing on the dashboard, transforming her carefully designed interface into something far more advanced. She heard the first impact charges being placed on the bunker's main door. Time was up. Raven engaged the quantum drive, and the world outside began to blur. Whatever this car truly was, wherever this strange alliance would lead, she knew one thing for certain. Her life's work had just become something far more significant than she had ever imagined. The vehicle shot forward into the desert night, leaving nothing but a trail of quantum particulates and very confused government agents in its wake. The real journey was just beginning. The quantum-powered vehicle carved through the desert night like a phantom, its obsidian surface reflecting starlight in impossible ways. Raven's hands gripped the steering wheel as the speedometer displayed readings that shouldn't have been possible. Behind them, the government vehicles had long since faded into the distance, their conventional engines no match for whatever her car had become. The alien, whom she'd mentally dubbed Prism due to its light-refracting properties, had seemingly merged with the vehicle's exterior. Its presence manifested in waves of iridescent patterns that flowed across the surface, responding to changes in velocity and direction. More intriguingly, the quantum core was operating at 300% beyond its theoretical limits, yet showing no signs of instability. "I'm guessing this isn't just about outrunning some government agents," Raven said, watching new symbols materialize across the dashboard. The interface had evolved, displaying information in four-dimensional patterns that somehow made perfect sense to her brain, despite their complexity. "You're using the quantum signatures to search for something." Prism's response came as a ripple of geometric patterns that transformed into a topographical map on the windshield. A point of light pulsed in the heart of the Chihuahuan Desert, nearly 100 miles southeast of their position. The coordinates corresponded to nothing on any official map, but the quantum readings emanating from that location were off the charts. A sudden burst of static filled the cabin, followed by a series of rhythmic pulses that made Raven's teeth vibrate. She recognized it as the same harmonic frequency Prism had emitted in the bunker. "That's a signal, isn't it? A beacon." The desert landscape blurred past as the car accelerated further, the quantum drive humming with newfound power. Raven's instruments showed they were approaching speeds that should have torn the vehicle apart, yet the ride remained perfectly smooth. Prism's modifications had transformed her experimental prototype into something that operated on principles far beyond human understanding. A warning indicator flashed across the windshield. Aerial vehicles approaching from the northwest, moving fast. "Military response," Raven muttered, checking the readings. "Looks like they're not taking any chances." The quantum core pulsed, and new systems came online. Holographic displays showed defensive capabilities Raven had never installed, some form of energy deflection field, and what appeared to be a quantum camouflage system. Prism's patterns shifted, suggesting urgency. "Okay, I get it. Time to see what this thing can really do." Raven engaged the new systems, watching in amazement as the car's exterior began to bend light around itself. On radar, they would appear as nothing more than background noise. The pursuing aircraft drew closer, their searchlights sweeping the desert floor. Raven guided the vehicle into a narrow canyon, using the quantum drive's impossible maneuverability to navigate passages barely wider than the car itself. The pursuing aircraft thundered overhead, their pilots unaware that their quarry was literally beneath them. As they emerged from the canyon, the beacon's signal grew stronger. The windshield display showed they were less than 20 miles from the coordinates, but the topography ahead was treacherous, a maze of rock formations and deep ravines that would be suicide to navigate at their current speed. Prism's patterns shifted again, and Raven felt a strange sensation, as if reality itself was becoming fluid around them. The quantum core's pitch changed, and suddenly the rock formations weren't obstacles to be avoided. They were passing through them like ghosts. Phase shifting. Raven breathed, understanding dawning. You've modified the quantum field to temporarily shift us out of phase with normal matter. It was theoretical physics made real, the kind of technology that would revolutionize transportation if it ever became public. The beacon's pulse reached a crescendo as they approached the coordinates. Ahead, a massive mesa rose from the desert floor, its sides too steep for any normal vehicle to climb. But they weren't normal anymore. The phase shift maintained. They passed through the solid rock like it was mist. Inside the mesa, they found a vast chamber that couldn't have been natural. Crystalline structures lined the walls, pulsing with the same energy signature as their quantum core. Ancient machinery hummed to life as they entered, responding to their presence. Raven brought the car to a stop in the center of the chamber. The phase shift disengaged, and Prism's form separated from the vehicle's surface, resolving into its humanoid configuration. The aliens' patterns had changed. They were more ordered now, more purposeful. "This is what you've been looking for, isn't it?" Raven asked, stepping out of the car. "Some kind of ancient outpost." Prism moved toward one of the crystal formations, its appendages extending to interface with the structure. The chamber's lighting shifted, and a massive holographic display materialized in the air above them. It showed star systems, trajectories, and what appeared to be a countdown in alien numerals. Before Raven could process what she was seeing, new alarms blared from the car systems. The military hadn't given up. They were deploying ground teams, using advanced scanning equipment to search the area. And something else was approaching, something that made the quantum core's readings spike off the charts. "We're about to have company," Raven said, turning to Prism. "And I'm guessing they're not all going to be human." The aliens' response was to activate more of the chamber systems. Hidden doors opened in the walls, revealing technology that made Raven's quantum experiments look primitive by comparison. Whatever this place was, whatever Prism had brought them here to find, it was clear that the real mission was just beginning. The countdown continued its relentless progression, and somewhere above, both human and alien forces were converging on their location. Time was running out, and the fate of far more than just a quantum-powered car hung in the balance. The crystalline chamber thrummed with ancient power as Raven watched Prism interface with the holographic displays. Above them, scanners showed multiple teams converging on the mesa. Military units moving in precise formations. And something else, something that made the quantum sensors fluctuate wildly. "Whatever you're looking for, we need to find it fast," Raven said, moving to examine the alien technology lining the walls. The countdown displayed in the central hologram had accelerated, the alien numerals shifting more rapidly now. Prism's form rippled with urgent patterns as it moved between control interfaces. The chamber systems responded to its touch, revealing deeper levels of complexity. New holograms materialized, showing what appeared to be historical records, vast fleets of ships, worlds transformed by technology, and finally, a catastrophic war that had raged across multiple star systems. Raven's attention was drawn to a recurring image, a device that looked remarkably similar to her car's quantum core, but on a massive scale. "That's why you were so interested in the car, isn't it? We somehow recreated a smaller version of your people's technology." The alien's patterns shifted in what she now recognized as affirmation. More images appeared, showing the device being used to create stable wormholes, to redirect astronomical events, and finally, to seal away something dark and incomprehensible that had emerged from deep space. A deep tremor ran through the chamber. The military teams had begun using seismic charges, searching for hidden structures. Prism's movements became more urgent as it accessed deeper archives. New schematics appeared, showing modifications to the quantum core design. You want to upgrade the car, Raven realized, studying the technical data that somehow translated perfectly in her mind. Turn it into something like that device in the records. The alien extended several appendages, manipulating the holographic interface to show a larger scenario. Earth appeared, along with trajectories of multiple objects approaching from deep space, objects that matched the dark entities from the historical records. They're coming here, Raven breathed. That's what the countdown is for. How long do we have? Numbers flashed across the display. 3 days. Somewhere in the void between stars, ancient horrors were awakening, drawn to Earth by the quantum experiments that humans had conducted without understanding their true significance. Another explosion rocked the chamber, closer this time. The military was getting better at triangulating their position. Prism suddenly moved to the car, its form flowing over the vehicle's surface. The quantum core pulsed with new energy as the alien began implementing the modifications from the archives. Raven's attention was drawn to a new hologram, showing a network of similar facilities buried across the planet. These are all outposts like this one, some kind of defensive network. Prism's response came as a series of complex mathematical equations appearing in the air. The facilities were nodes in a planetary shield system, designed to protect worlds from the entities they had sealed away millennia ago. But the system needed the modified quantum core to power it, the same technology that Raven had unknowingly recreated. A new alert flashed across the chamber's displays. Something massive had appeared in orbit, its energy signature matching the hostile entities from the records. They weren't waiting for the countdown to finish. The first scout had already arrived. That's why you've been so focused on maintaining the car, Raven said, understanding finally dawning. You're not just some obsessive mechanic. You're a guardian, waiting for the right moment to reactivate the defense system. The chamber's outer walls began to crack as more seismic charges detonated. They were running out of time. Prism completed its modifications to the car, the vehicle now pulsing with power that made the air itself crackle with energy. New schematics appeared, showing a path to a deeper chamber beneath them, some kind of power core that would amplify the quantum drive's capabilities. But reaching it meant going through both the military forces above and whatever had just arrived from space. Raven moved to the car, noting how its controls had evolved further, becoming something that merged human and alien interface designs. I'm guessing we can't just sit here and wait for them to find us. Prism's form shifted, creating a three-dimensional map of the surrounding area. Multiple routes were highlighted, leading to other outposts in the network. They needed to reach at least 3 more facilities to power up the planetary defense grid, all while evading both human and alien pursuit. Another tremor shook the chamber, and chunks of rock began falling from the ceiling. The military had switched to more powerful explosives, determined to breach the mess's secrets. And above them, sensors showed the orbital entity beginning its descent into the atmosphere. Raven slid into the driver's seat, feeling the car's enhanced systems respond to her presence. Well, if we're going to save the world, we better get moving. She glanced at where Prism had once again merged with the vehicle's exterior. Just promise me one thing. If we survive this, you'll teach me how you get that finish so perfect. The quantum core surged with power as Raven engaged the drive. They had 3 days to outrun the military, evade alien hunters, and reactivate an ancient planetary defense system. And somewhere above, an ancient horror was awakening, drawn to Earth by humanity's blind advancement into realms they didn't understand. The car's phase shift technology activated, and they began their descent to the deeper chamber. The real race against extinction was about to begin. The quantum-powered vehicle phased through layers of rock and ancient machinery as they descended into the heart of the mesa. Raven's modified interface displayed the complex network of tunnels ahead, while external sensors tracked both the military forces above and the alien entity entering Earth's atmosphere. The deeper chamber opened before them, the vast spherical space filled with suspended crystalline structures. At its center floated what appeared to be a miniature sun, pulsing with the same quantum frequency as their modified core. As they approached, the ancient machinery began to activate, responding to Prism's presence. "That's what we need, isn't that right?" Raven asked, bringing the car to a hover near the energy source. A jump start for the planetary defense grid. Prism's patterns rippled across the car's surface in confirmation. The alien's form partially separated from the vehicle, extending multiple appendages toward the floating quantum sun. The connection was immediate and dramatic. Energy surged through the chamber, and the holographic displays showed power levels rising across the entire defense network. But it wasn't enough. They needed to reach the other outposts to fully activate the system. The countdown in Raven's display showed less than 70 hours remaining, and the nearest facility was hundreds of miles away. A massive tremor shook the chamber as something impacted the surface above, something much larger than military explosives. The orbital entity had landed, and sensors showed it was unlike anything in Prism's historical records. It had evolved, adapted, become something far more dangerous than what the ancient defenders had faced. "Time to go," Raven muttered, engaging the quantum drive. The car shot forward as sections of the ceiling began to collapse. They phased through the debris, but Raven could feel the strain on the systems. Whatever was up there was generating interference patterns that affected even their advanced technology. They emerged from the mess's base into chaos. Military helicopters circled the area, their searchlights cutting through the dust clouds created by the entity's landing. And there, rising from a crater nearly half a mile wide, was something that defied description. A writhing mass of dark energy and crystalline structures that seemed to bend reality around itself. "Please tell me you've got a plan for getting past that thing," Raven said, watching as the entity began to extend tendrils of dark energy in all directions. Where they touched, matter simply ceased to exist, converted into something that her sensors couldn't even detect. Prism's response was to activate new modifications to their quantum core. The car's exterior shifted, taking on properties that seemed to repel the entity's influence. But the power drain was enormous. They wouldn't be able to maintain it for long. Raven plotted a course through the military perimeter, using the confusion created by the entity's arrival to their advantage. The car wove between helicopter formations, its quantum camouflage making them nearly invisible to conventional detection. But the entity sensed them. Its mass shifted, focusing countless crystalline sensory organs in their direction. A beam of pure darkness lanced out, missing them by meters as Raven pushed the quantum drive to its limits. The military forces scattered, finally realizing they were facing something far beyond their capability to contain. "The next outpost," Raven called out, watching their power reserves dropping. "How far?" New coordinates appeared on her display. A facility hidden beneath the Rocky Mountains, nearly 600 miles away. Under normal circumstances, even their quantum-powered vehicle would need hours to reach it. But they didn't have hours. Prism's patterns shifted again, and Raven felt the quantum core's resonance change. The holographic display showed a new possibility, using the entity's own reality warping effects to create a temporary tunnel through space-time. It was incredibly risky, but it might be their only chance. "You want to surf the wavefront of its attacks," Raven realized, understanding the physics involved. "Use its power against it while staying just ahead of the destruction." She laughed despite the situation. "That's either brilliant or completely insane." The entity launched another attack, its dark energy beam carving a path of annihilation across the desert. Raven turned the car directly toward it, feeling Prism's modifications accelerating their quantum field. The timing would have to be perfect. Just before the beam reached them, Raven engaged the drive at full power. Space itself seemed to fold around them, as they rode the edge of the reality distortion, covering miles in seconds. Behind them, the entity howled in frequencies that made Raven's bones vibrate. They emerged from the spatial distortion nearly 50 miles away, the quantum core straining to stabilize their position in normal spacetime. But they had proven it could work. With careful timing, and the entity's unwitting help, they might be able to reach the other outposts before time ran out. A new alert flashed across Raven's display. More entities were approaching Earth, drawn by the first one's quantum signature. The invasion was accelerating. They had less than 48 hours to activate the defense grid. And now they would have to evade multiple reality-warping hunters to do it. Raven checked their power reserves and plotted the most efficient course to the Rocky Mountains facility. "I hope that cleaning obsession of yours extends to quantum field maintenance," she said to Prism, "because we're going to be pushing these modifications to their absolute limit." The card systems hummed with renewed energy as Prism optimized their configuration. Ahead lay mountains, more military forces, and entities that could unmake reality itself. But they had already done the impossible once. Now they just had to do it 3 more times. The quantum drive engaged, and they raced toward the mountains, leaving the first entity to face the combined forces of Earth's military. It would keep the humans occupied while they completed their true mission, preparing the planet's last line of defense against a threat they couldn't begin to comprehend. The quantum-powered car phased through the solid rock of the Rocky Mountains, following ancient tunnels that hadn't seen light in millennia. They had activated 2 more outposts in the past 36 hours, each confrontation with the reality-warping entities becoming more dangerous as their hunters learned and evolved. Raven's hands were steady on the controls despite her exhaustion. The card systems had been pushed far beyond their original design specifications, but thanks to Prism's constant maintenance and modifications, they were still functioning. The aliens' obsessive attention to detail had saved their lives more times than she could count. "Last one," she said, checking the countdown timer. Less than 12 hours remained before the main invasion force arrived. Above them, Earth's military forces were engaged with 3 entities, their weapons barely slowing the cosmic horrors but buying precious time. The final outpost lay before them, a vast chamber that dwarfed all the others. This wasn't just another node in the defense network, it was the central control hub. Ancient machinery filled the space, and at its heart stood a quantum core nearly identical to the one they had built into the car, but scaled up to impossible proportions. "This is what you've been preparing for, isn't it?" Raven asked as they landed. The car wasn't just a power source, it's the key to controlling all of this. Prism separated from the vehicle, its form more fluid and dynamic than ever. The alien moved to interface with the chamber systems, while Raven studied the readings on her display. The defense grid was nearly ready, but powering it would require something she hadn't expected. "The car has to be sacrificed," she realized, watching the schematics unfold. "Its quantum core has to merge with this facility to catalyze the reaction." 3 years of work, of pushing the boundaries of human engineering, would be consumed in moments. A massive tremor shook the chamber. The entities had sensed the defense grid's activation and were converging on their location. Military sensors showed them merging, combining their reality-warping powers into something even more terrifying. Prism's patterns shifted urgently as new data filled the holographic displays. The merged entity wasn't just trying to stop them, it was attempting to corrupt the defense grid itself, to turn Earth's last protection into a beacon that would draw even more horrors from the void. "There has to be another way," Raven said, her mind racing through alternatives. The car's quantum core was unique, a perfect fusion of human innovation and alien technology. Its very imperfection was what made it special, what had allowed Prism to modify it in ways the original design never contemplated. The aliens' response came as a complex series of equations appearing in the air between them. There was another option, but it was even more dangerous than their original plan. Instead of sacrificing the car, they could use it as a focusing lens, channeling the defense grid's power through its hybrid core in a way the entities wouldn't expect. It would be like overclocking a quantum computer, Raven said, understanding the implications. We'd be pushing the boundaries of reality itself. She glanced at her creation, remembering all the impossible things it had already achieved. But that's what we do best, isn't it? The chamber shook again as the merged entity began its final assault. They had minutes at most before it broke through. Prism moved with incredible speed, making the final modifications to both the car and the facility systems. The aliens' obsession with perfection had never been more crucial. Even the smallest flaw could cause their plan to fail catastrophically. Raven slid into the driver's seat one last time, feeling the quantum core pulse in sync with her heartbeat. I'm guessing this is going to be one hell of a ride. The alien rejoined with the car's exterior as Raven guided it onto a crystalline platform rising from the chamber floor. Above them, the facility's quantum core began to spin, creating a vortex of pure possibility. The car's systems interfaced with the ancient machinery, and Raven felt reality itself begin to flex around them. The merged entity breached the chamber's outer walls, its dark energy tentacles reaching for them. But they were ready. Raven engaged the quantum drive at full power, channeling the defense grid's energy through their hybrid core. The car became a lens focusing the power of stars, its very existence a bridge between human determination and alien precision. Light erupted from every surface as two technologies separated by millions of years of evolution worked in perfect harmony. The entity recoiled as waves of quantum energy washed over it, its reality warping powers turned back upon itself. The defense grid activated, not as a simple barrier, but as something new. A quantum field that could adapt and evolve, just like the car that had inspired its transformation. In orbit, the approaching invasion force encountered not the easy target they expected, but a world protected by technology that merged the best aspects of two civilizations. The entities tried to pierce the barrier, to unmake it as they had so many others. But this defense was different. It learned from every attack, adapted to every strategy, maintained with the same obsessive perfection that Prism had shown in caring for Raven's car. Hours later, as the last entity retreated into the void between stars, Raven sat in her quantum-powered vehicle, watching the sunrise through the hole their battle had torn in the mountain. The car was changed, evolved into something that was neither purely human nor alien technology, but a true hybrid that represented the best of both. You know, she said to Prism, whose form still rippled across the car's surface, we make a pretty good team. Humanity's crazy ideas and your attention to detail. She ran her hand along the dashboard, feeling the pure potential humming beneath its surface. Want to see what else we can build together? The alien's response came as a subtle shift in the car's quantum field, not just agreement, but anticipation. Above them, Earth's first line of defense against cosmic horrors stood ready, powered by the most unlikely partnership in human history. And somewhere in the New Mexico desert, a hidden bunker waited for their return, ready to serve as the workshop where human ingenuity and alien precision would continue to push the boundaries of what was possible. After all, there were still plenty of cars to clean, modifications to perfect, and wonders to create.